So while we're working on the technical, I'm just going to call the meeting.
Okay.
12:03, and we have a quorum. And Marge, and Marie, and Russell. Hi, Russell.
Hi, how are you now?
Good. And we have an alternate. Well, actually, we have two alternates here. I can only see one. So Dana, you're going to stay an alternate. I'm going to seat David because he's in the room as the alternate, as the regular member.
Okay.
It's a big deal for us for today, but great. And everyone here probably knows this is Don Levinson, Marie's husband, who might be interested in joining us. So he's, checking us out.
So be on your best behavior. Do we have any more? Do we have openings?
We do have an opening because Meredith Key.
Oh, that's right.
Meredith is moving back to Texas.
Oh,
So she had to resign.
It's so hot then.
I know. And we're hopefully getting down there. Yes. So we do have an opening, and what I would typically do is recommend moving one of the alternates up. Dana prefers not to do that right now. She's dealing with some medical issues. David, what's your feeling about moving up to be a regular?
I guess I have no issue or problem with it.
You're fine doing that?
Do I have to go to another host interview?
No, you do not.
Okay.
You do not.
I had to do that the full time on the HTC.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for this committee, it will be a pretty simple process. So I'm going to do what I need to do for that. And then the other question is, we need a secretary. Are you willing to serve as secretary, or would you prefer not?
You mentioned a while ago, serving the name only.
That would be really, that's all like that.
Willing to do, but
Marge and I take minutes. We do a good job of that, but if on paper we can put, because neither of us can have secretary after our name.
I don't know where the microphone is, but I'm not getting consistent sound. It's sort of going in and out. I don't know if
Okay,
you can do anything about that or not.
I don't know either, but maybe we all need to speak louder.
Okay.
Close the door, we'll speak louder, and you just keep interrupting us if you can't hear us saying it. It's okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. So, public communication, citizen participation. We don't have any that I'm aware of. Magda, did you receive any?
Well, me, myself, no.
No. So we have no public communication. And so after Magna does whatever technical thing he's doing here, we'll let him do his staff report and bring us up to date on various issues. Oh, thank you very much, Mark. Thank you. I need a motion to approve the minutes that are attached to your agenda from our March 15th meeting.
I'll take a motion.
Oh, I thought you already did.
No, I was just reminding her she has to do it.
Marge approved, Russ seconded. Are there any corrections, comments, questions on the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Okay, minutes are approved unanimously. All right, now we'll turn the meeting over to you, sir.
Again, the name is Marcel Mataka. I have a business card here, for all of you. If you need to reach out at some point or through the chair, you can also contact me. In my notes here, I have what we last discussed. I know it was a while ago, March 15th. So I'll try to hit on what we said, what I said March 15th and what they updated today too. And try to do that moving forward too with everything. So in your packet, you have agenda packet. You have. I'm just going down the list of 4 updates we have there. The Mystic River Homes update in March 15th. I noted that there was a request for an extension and was given to us until June 2023 for the Mystic River Homes project. And I think before that, I did discuss the type of work that was conducted still under the grant. A lot of it was the closeout process from the grant's perspective. So construction documentation, closing documentation, ensuring that we keep track of everything, all the expenses that were paid for that project. The update is the final reimbursement, which is a part of that closeout process, getting the final funds back from the state for what we have spent in that last phase of that construction project. We received that April. We submitted the documentation April 20th and received it, I believe, June. The final payment that we received under that budget was $241,000 and some change. So we successfully received that. Obviously, there's a back and forth with the state to make sure that, documentation-wise, we have everything accounted for, that we're not including things that are not eligible under this program. So we went back and forth with the state, but eventually we got the funds back, so that's good.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
the 241,000, that paid for what, or where did that go?
I don't have, oh no, it's money we spent on the project.
So it's just reimbursing the
Reimbursement,
town
yeah.
for what we've already
Yeah,
spent on
yeah.
the project? Okay.
And
Okay.
so that's kind of my, I wouldn't say fear, but something that I've worked against a lot, making sure that whatever we spend as a town, especially my role, that we're able to receive the funds. So funds that are given to us upfront, we work and pay them through the town's finances, and then my job then is to make sure the state is happy with, how we spend the funds, and they can reimburse us if that's something.
Okay.
And that's what I mean. We go back and forth with the state on, no, don't take this out. This is not included. This is included. But we successfully received what we spent.
So it was a full reimbursement
Yes,
from the
yes.
state for every, okay.
They just wanted a lot of, like, some of the documentation did not meet the requirement for how we documented what we spent, and so making sure we have everything.
You had to provide more documentation.
Yeah,
because
more.
It wasn't enough.
And even change, I'll be honest, the Department of Housing, when I say state, I mean the Department of Housing, they update their forms too. One of the forms updated after we submitted the document, and they didn't reject it, but they got back to us and said, you're using an old form. And I asked them, how old is the form? The form changed 6 days after we submitted it. I was like, now we have to go redo everything on the new form, and they had the money, so we had to make it happen.
Can you hear, Dana?
For the most part.
I wonder if it would help to.
No,
put
bring
this
it closer.
closer to you while you're talking.
Okay.
Let's see if that makes a difference.
You okay now?
Yeah, I think so. Okay, going.
Yeah, that's good. And so yes, those funds were received, and then right after Department of Housing wanted to do an express closeout of that project. What that process, I don't know if I talked about the state's new express closeout process is. Historically, they've given you a period of time to not only close the project you're working on, but the reporting purposes, the semi-annual report, the final report, all these other documents that are around the fund, not just your project, but the funds, right? They normally would give you time to finalize all that, to ensure that when an audit comes, that everything is documented and supporting how the funds were spent. Well, now the state has moved to more, as the term is, express closeout, which just means you do all the work, but just faster. And so, which probably they have right to
you submit it to a drive-through window then?
You know, they even give you an online platform that you push everything to once you have it, you know, and so which is kind of nice instead of going back and forth with documents by email. They just give you a Dropbox and you just work with that to kind of have all the documents signed and send to them that way. So that was done too, May, June. Again, that too, it's back and forth with the state about not this document, this document. And so we successfully closed that out in June.
Great. So the 2019 CDBG, which is Community Development Block Grant Program, that's closed out. With the Mystic River Homes project of helping them renovate the low-income senior housing there that they operate. That project's done.
The fund, the grant is done.
The grant is done.
Yes.
Okay.
So the funds we applied to the state for that project is done.
And it's all been spent.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. The portion that is outside of the grant parameters is not something that we track, fully. So the consultant and the contractors that were hired that may have worked after that period might have, done more things past that. But for the grant,
that's Mystic River Homes' responsibility.
Yeah.
Our the town's responsibility as far as the CDBG grant.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yes.
2019. Okay. Cool.
And again, too, when we say that too, and I think something that confused me a little bit, when we say 2019, it's when we applied for the grant.
Right.
So there's the, approval, awarding period, and so a lot of the actual work started in 2020. And then we all know COVID-19 and all that, so that's also built into there.
Yep. Okay.
And then going to the second line item, COVID-19 PPE stockpile. March 15th, I noted that we're waiting for reimbursement for March 15th. We are waiting. I said we're waiting for reimbursement by COVID expenses. Reimbursement was received. We filed for $28,494 reimbursement with the Department of Housing again. We received the funds again, that one too. And I think for a lot of the process that I'm referring to here, it's not a one-page, yes, everything is good. It's back and forth, but it's all in the right reasons to make sure that we can support how we spend the funds, and then when that audit comes, that all documentation is there for that purpose.
Is that correct?
No, it's not. Trying to see where I am now in my notes. So for that one, we requested an extension with the state. The extension was granted until December 2023 to utilize all our stockpile and the funds. I think we had a discussion in March about, where COVID is and what people, are using, the supplies or not. And then whether we should or should not purchase more supplies. A big hold that we had there was, the federal government regulations on COVID-19, where it was heading, and also we were waiting for reimbursement to come back, and we finally got that. So we're at a point now. I've already discussed with the representative of the Department of Housing as to how we can spend the remaining funds. Because for COVID-19, it wasn't like any other grant where, you had this whole period of public hearing here, so many days wait and all that. It was, emergency, and, people applied the way they applied. And based on what we applied for the stockpile, that's what we approved for. And so now to go back and say, okay, what else can we do is almost like a separate application, but it's really not. And so in the next couple of weeks here, we agreed to set up a meeting to discuss what's possible outside of what we applied for and what's legally the right path to go with, using the remaining of the funds.
So how much funds are remaining?
Sure. 6,000,
6,000?
66.
66?
Yeah,
Okay.
is remaining in that fund.
66,000 remaining. Can you hear that, Dana?
No, say that again.
So there-
66,000 is remaining in that fund.
And you've talked with DOH about how those remaining funds can be spent
Potentially.
potentially.
Yes, yeah.
Can you give us some idea of?
That's what what they've said is, okay, generate a list of what you think, you'd want to spend those funds on. And I think, preparing for this meeting, that was one of my asks of this committee was if, you want to, discuss, potential ways we can use those funds, that would meet the criteria of the type of grants this is for, COVID-related expenses.
Yes, if you can give us a short list of what DOH said the money could be spent on.
No, they are saying we should do that.
Oh, they want a list from.
Yeah,
Oh.
and
then they'll go in
and say,
yeah.
exactly. So right now I'm working off of a list that's about, I don't have the real number, but there's a best practices that was developed. I think I touched on this a little bit earlier, from multiple different towns and different states of how they use their COVID-19 funds.
Mhm.
The only difference that best practice did not really clarify was whether those programs is what they applied for, or if it's something they use the funds after they apply for something else. You know what I mean? And so there's a lot of that gray area in there. So, but that's what I'm working off of, kind of generate a list of potential
Okay.
things we can spend the funds on.
So here's what I'm aware of, but the rest of you are probably aware of. I mean, I'm noticing the masks are out and available again here at the senior center. Are there any at the library?
So what happened, and period this was, Ledge Light and a couple of other organizations that also received funds
Yeah.
started populating around the same areas we were. And so a lot of these locations started saying, you know, hold up, we have too much of this, we have too much of this, you know, and so but I want to start back and see, you know, whether those other sources that they were getting the same materials from, if they've stopped or if they're still continuing.
Okay.
I think our approach is not necessarily to just throw things in people's faces, but make sure that we strategically, you know, spend what we have.
Sure. I've just never seen masks at the library.
Oh, but we used to distribute them there.
Yeah.
You've
Up front,
seen them at
yeah.
the desk, the box? Okay, I
Yeah.
hadn't, but okay, I'm glad somebody did.
Question.
No, it's one across from the senior center. I'm
Okay,
sorry,
they
the
have
Pride
one.
55, yes, yes.
We could consider the
Mystic
Bill
Knowing,
Memorial
yeah.
Library and the Mystic Knowing Library, we fund,
Yes.
we provide them funding.
Yeah.
It would be
Yeah.
perfectly legitimate.
And it's a gathering place for all Groton citizens.
Mhm.
I'm thinking the grocery store. As you walk in the door, during the height of COVID, there were masks setting there. And if you didn't have one, you could take one. That may be someplace to put them because COVID is still around
But it's-
and it's coming back.
Your hospitalizations are going up.
Right.
So it's-
So that might be something to prompt people to use.
What about sanitizer too?
That's what I would think would be a bigger help, is sanitizer than.
Yeah, it seems like everywhere you go, it's out. You go to get a pump of
Right.
sanitizer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, because you're touching everything. There's somebody else that touched it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So those would be questions we have. Would sanitizer be an approved expense?
Oh, no, we have those, but historically, when we try to distribute these, you know, people would say, you know, no,
Yeah, we have enough.
you know, yeah, so, and I think, yeah.
I think
But it's
our
worth
message,
revisiting.
is, at this time, that might not be the case. I'm not seeing sanitizer.
No, I haven't experienced that too, yeah, everywhere you go,
And then we talked last time about tests and providing COVID tests
We
because
have-
those are no longer free. Do we have a supply of tests?
We had, again, there was another item, if you can check with, Flight 55 and, you know, the other locations that we would, Human Services Department, or other organizations such as like, great. I'm glad they are participating and involved in the process, but they also like populated a lot of, through town and so.
But I can tell the senior center does not have tests now.
Now, yeah, and so that's the thing. So whatever we purchase now, we have to make sure, again, depending on the state and the federal government regulations around COVID-19, that when we make those purchases, that they will still need a reimbursement. You know what I mean? So we can't just keep buying, and then if the state or the federal government shuts down on COVID-19 or, you know, changes their policy around COVID-19, now we cannot get reimbursed because, you know what I mean? So that was the thing. We had to wait and make sure that, you know, everything aligns. So.
Well, and the other thing with the test is that unfortunately it has a shelf life.
And that's another thing for those ones, yeah.
Right.
It's much shorter than
Right.
everything else. Yeah.
Exactly.
I would also, say a grocery store or whatever, in commercial businesses, should we be getting into doing private businesses? I don't know, maybe.
So private businesses like grocery stores, you're questioning.
Right.
Okay.
When you have in the library and the senior center, that's a public place.
Right.
Should they be in pool? For example, I don't know. I just wondered, and when I started doing the grocery stores or whatever, then should you be doing
CVS.
Walmart or doctor's office
Right.
or lawyer's office? How do we get into sticky situations?
That's a good point. Good question.
Yeah.
And then that was the hesitating, you know, factor for us to, because we cannot force businesses to, you know, accept these materials. Yes, we want, you know, the residents to be safe, but if a business, you know, has their own process for even just using the product at their location, you know, they might come, I don't know what legal ramification there is, but, you know, some businesses have, you know, strict requirements around, you know, where they get their masks from.
So you don't think we should send them to Florida?
I think they'd be stopped.
No, I think your question is a very good point, David. Thank you for asking it. And that would the committee agree, we should focus on town places rather than private businesses? So, but schools.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
schools.
There was another entity that had their own.
Had their own,
you know,
and then they
you know.
get funds for their own.
Right.
Okay, we fund the ambulance. Those people, many of them got very sick during COVID because the people that they were going to help were so sick.
Sure.
I don't know if we can help them
Sorry.
because they didn't have the protection. And
Yes,
we did.
would be at this point, they
And the
probably
police.
have access to their
Probably now.
own,
And
probably,
of course, the
but
police.
certainly.
Fire also. Really.
Exactly. So as far as human services, do they have, I don't know if they have a stockpile, but if they do, or we're going to allow them a stockpile, is it on their website that it's available, that people can stop in and get some masks there or get, because a lot of, elderly and, you know, poorer people will use that service before coming to the town or whatever.
Yeah.
They should be in the, you know, every town building. I see them here. I haven't seen them at the town hall. It doesn't mean they're not there. I was just there not too long ago. But
Good point. I haven't always seen them at town hall.
I haven't seen them
I
at
see
town
them
hall.
here and I see
Right.
them at the senior center.
and I'm sure there's a police department, but, you know, there's all kinds of businesses that come in and out. People need town services, so every town building should have them.
Mhm.
You say food, but there are some feed banks also, and they're not really a town public function, but on the other hand, you get people coming to food banks that might not have access elsewhere as well.
Mhm. Yeah, the only ones that are sort of town related are the ones that's done at the senior
Oh,
center.
community meals,
Community meals.
That's community meals, but the human resources, their whole basement is a store.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I agree with you about human services.
You come and you're going to pick up food from human services because you need it. How about a couple of masks, and how about a couple of hand sanitizers?
So I know you're gonna be having a meeting next week, I think you
in
said.
a few weeks,
In a few weeks, the town will be, those were just suggestions from us, that we suggest we
Yeah.
take to that committee, to that.
Those,
meeting.
those just the good, and then that's what we are currently doing. What, the discussion with the public housing is outside of that, like what we can spend the funds on.
Yeah.
One more thing,
Okay.
with this COVID money, did the city get separate money? Or just the town get it? And sometimes they're not included.
They wouldn't have gotten CDBG money, but they
Yeah,
might
no.
have some other source.
Yeah, something else, because if you look at the housing rehab program, which I'll discuss next week, that program is for the entire Groton
Right.
population, including the city.
But I'm talking about the COVID. I don't know if the city got it separately,
Not from this source, but maybe from another source. I don't think they got it from.
so maybe we could talk to the city of Groton and see if they can use that
Yeah, and
in their municipal buildings.
it's worth revisiting again. I think an important thing to note was that it seemed like there were multiple other recipients of these funds, and we were all going to the same place.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the city to have emails with the city to, trying to get them, because they had, even the vaccination clinics,
Uh-huh.
trying to get stuff there. Oh, no, let's like, so-and-so, give it, I mean, and so it was but it's worth a visit to see if maybe some of these other organizations have ran out of their supplies,
Right.
maybe now is the time, especially if we're not seeing these things at those locations, maybe now is the time to.
So how about
Revisit that.
this, how about we say, committee members, if you're out and about in the community, you see a place and there's not the supplies there, push in a quick email
Yeah.
to
And then I
Magna
have.
and say, yeah, there's none at such and such. Them to the list of places. So. Cool. Anything else that anyone can think of to spend COVID-related funds on? For me, pets high up on the list.
How about vaccination?
Think
The new vaccination.
insurance companies are covering those, and I'm
The government too.
I'm assuming that the government is for people who can't afford them, but I don't know for sure.
I can look into that and see, what
Yeah.
but I know
like,
Ledge Light,
They did all of them over in the city.
but I can double check that too, actually, and see.
Okay. Anything else? Any other thoughts?
How about those poor people that have all those medical bills because they had no insurance?
That's like, it's
That's-
gotta be a
that's the
public good, what I mean, like,
Well,
something
that-
that everyone can,
Average.
yeah,
Okay.
not necessarily.
Okay.
Probably exceed the 66,000.
Go big one.
If you have another item, you shoot Magna an email. Could you hear enough of that, Dana?
Enough of it. I mean, I have to tell you honestly, it's mostly a strobe effect, and I'm getting the gist of things, but not all the particulars. So I'll look forward to the minutes. But I'm getting the gist. But it is a strobe. It's an in and out. Sometimes I see you gesticulating and mouth moving, and nothing is coming over. So it's something with the speaker. But
Or the internet, one of the two.
Do you want to do a phone connection with me? Would it work better for you
okay,
and I to do a phone?
okay,
Listen through the phone?
okay. What do I call?
I will call you if you, believe I have you in mind. You are,
see.
but that's something you need to report to people, Magda, that
Yeah.
this isn't working very well for some people. You know what, Dana, you call me. Can you call
Call
me?
your phone? Okay.
Yeah. Because for some reason your phone number isn't in mine.
It will be.
There she is. Okay, can you hear this?
Much better. Let me get the computer off so I'm not getting an echo here.
I have you on speakerphone here, so you talk. Yeah. Okay. Great. Let's see if that works better. All right, moving on to the CDBG Community Development Block Grant Program Income Housing Rehabilitation Program.
March 15th, I talked about we're currently processing application from our wait list. Our wait list was dating back to 2018, 2019. We are currently working, and this is one of the projects we have actually started work on. We have passed the environmental review. It was an application from 2019, which was revisited 2021 to update the homeowner's information, but communication with the homeowner kind of didn't go so well around that time because the homeowner had personal emergencies and things that were happening in her life. And so, again, I revisited homeowner, and this time we were able to move things along and kind of get things going there. We have 8 other applications that are in our second level of review. Our initial review is just making sure that we have all the documentation necessary to support the determination that the person meets the income requirement, and also, you know, the property requirements and the taxpayer within the community of Groton. Yeah. And then the secondary review is now then looking into the type of work that needs to be done, what is eligible work, what is not, you know, how much is this going to cost. I think something that the state has started to communicate with communities is developing a walkaway policy, and we are still drafting documents around that. What that is because there's a limit of $35,000 that we can spend on an individual home. If the work that needs to be done on that home exceeds that amount, we need to, you know, have that discussion as to can we still help here? Because the state also has requirements around what a completed project is. We cannot leave a home if it's not safe for the household. You know what I mean? Even if we've exceeded that amount, you know, so that kind of gray area for that one too. And so we are drafting language around, you know, when do we want to determine what a walkaway policy would apply for.
Would the walkaway apply before we start doing work with someone on their home? So it would be essentially saying, no, I'm sorry, we can't help you because you need more.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't be able to do enough with 35,000 to complete something.
Unless,
satisfactory.
yeah, unless other funds could be sourced from another.
Okay, okay, so it's a walkaway before work, not after the work has started.
Yeah, no. So what that means is an assessment will be done by the consultant that I work with. The consultant actually we communicate on and off. He's looking at hiring more resources because, especially for us, Groton, there's a lot of work coming his way, and these teams are a small team, but
sure.
they're
Is
looking at hiring.
the consultant for that Andrew Woodstock from Echo?
No,
it's
it's Peter Testa.
Oh, it's Peter Testa.
Yeah.
Okay. Peter Testa.
You think the 35,000 will be increased considering the building costs and inflation is so high now? Can't get much done for 35,000.
Exactly. I cannot speak to that really. That's up to the Department of Housing. They have a group that does that analysis as to, and I think you're right. The cost of not just supplies but labor too. You know, people are starting to ask for more. which definitely does impact, our communities, because 35,000 might seem like a lot,
But
Not
that
much.
limit is part of the grant program.
Yes,
That's
it is.
their limit, it's not something the town imposed.
Right, no, I understand.
I was just making sure.
Yeah.
Now, with this, they can have numerous work done up to like 35,000. So if they needed a new roof and a new furnace, and it came in at 30,000, that would still be covered.
yes,
Okay,
anything, it could end up being 5,000.
right, but I mean, it's not just one job per application.
No, the amount is the total.
Okay,
Yes,
okay,
yes,
right.
yeah. And I said, we have about 8 that are in the secondary phase of that
okay.
right now. So, and then also, we have, the funds, the last time we met, they were 240,000. Now it's at 350,000. So a lot of homes went into sale. And when I say a lot of homes went into sale, we didn't acquire all those funds, only the amount.
Oh,
used from, yeah, exactly. And
Right.
So if there were 10
Oh,
homes
that's
that
good.
went to sale, they each spent 25,000, then
Yeah.
those funds were.
Right.
Okay, so just so people who are newer to this understand, maybe you all do, but the way this program works, these are loans, they're 0 interest loans, and when the home is sold, then the town gets the money back. So the fund is replenished. Sometimes the fund has been down to having almost nothing in it. And in order for us to apply for another CBDG grant for housing rehab, the fund actually has to be down very low. I think it's under 25,000 or something in order for us to apply for more. So in one way, it's great that we have 350,000 available. In another way, it's not great. We can't apply for another grant.
Right.
So really the goal is to get that money out there, to spend it, to be able to apply
And this
for
is
another.
interest free, they, like when they pay it back, they don't pay any interest.
Yes.
Correct. Yes.
The eligibility.
80% of area, median income, depending on household size too. Our program guidelines, and they're available on the town's website. They have a table, 1 household member, 2, going up, on that scale. Yeah. And I'm sorry.
It's just based on
Income and loan to value also, so the value of the property compared to your mortgage and the loan, that has to be at no more than 8%.
So I guess my money, if you had $1 million in bank account or something, would you still buy if your income was low? I know it's not.
Yeah,
that
that's
makes sense.
you're coloring around, but
Oh, but
That comes up a lot.
Yeah.
there's a program in town, I can't remember, we looked at it a while back. It's income based.
Many of them are income based. And I think this one probably doesn't look at assets. It's probably just looking at income.
Yeah.
I don't know if someone with those kind of resources would apply, would think to apply, but.
Well,
But 80% of the area median income is something like maybe 50,000, 60,000.
Well,
You have a
this is-
ballpark of
it
what.
depends. It's like by household size too. So
Right.
there's a cross between those two. It's not just one number.
Right, I do know that. I'm just trying to have a sort of a ballpark. I try to keep it, the area median income is about 80,000, I think. Just ballpark.
Below that.
Below that, I think, okay.
But for example, for household of 1, I think it's 60 something. If you have 2 people, 70.
I think it's in Natalie's notes that she handed out last
Okay.
time we got
I
together.
was gonna say.
Yeah, I think it's in here, all that information.
Yeah. And the town's website has our program guidelines. It has a table in there too, which kind of breaks it down by household size.
To get back to David, it actually makes sense. Like he said, if somebody could get a loan for 35,000 with 0 interest, they don't have to pay it back until you sell the property. right? I mean, you could have $1 million in the bank, but now you still have $1 million
Even
in
if
the
you had
bank.
$1 million in the CD that was 21%, you'd still be coming out ahead.
Right, right. Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Okay, so I saw somewhere you were advertising this,
Yes.
that the town has this program. You know where I might have.
And
advertised?
actually, to be honest with you, yeah.
I saw it too, yeah.
But,
Japan,
Oh, the
yeah.
patch.
Yeah, because I saw it and I wanted to mention it and I couldn't remember where I saw it when, yeah.
last week on Wednesday, I think it's when they sent it out from noon Wednesday and end of day Thursday, I received about 20 calls.
Wow.
Interested
Wow.
homeowners in town. Most of those people picked up or emailed an application, which is good. I think the challenge is like, I don't know what they realize when they see the document, but they don't end up, a lot of them don't end up submitting the applications. But to your point, what I was going to say about the amount that's in the account. So so right now we have about 9 applications that could potentially be worked on. And if we use that 35,000 number as a mark for an estimate for, how much to spend. So, yeah. And so, but I think an important takeaway there is that, and I think I mentioned earlier, I was working on an application that was from 2019. People still can apply and should apply, even if the wait list grows longer and longer, because we go off of first come basis. And so if you are on that list and the fund is now noted, when the funds get back, we work off of that list, no matter how far ago it was. We keep the record that
Sure.
we do check back with homeowners. They can tell you.
So if an emergency comes up, they jump to the front.
Yes, that's another good point too. Yeah, if it's an emergency and you qualify.
Right.
If you're qualified and you're just waiting on the list and say, okay, now my furnace is not working, winter is
Yeah.
here, it's 10 below
Or the roof,
zero, I need a furnace.
Yeah.
Then they would jump to the front of the line.
If approved.
Makes sense.
If approved.
Yeah.
And
So
you
when
made
they're on
a
the list, are they approved?
So there's the initial list, right? The initial review is, so you come on the list once you've submitted an application. And the initial review goes through, because we have to document every application of received and why they were rejected.
Sure.
So I cannot just
Right.
not, And so, but that list is divided into 2. There's those that were approved, stay on the list, and then they go into the work order. But those who were not approved are on the list for that year. But the review findings are stated on there and why is also.
Okay.
So the 8 that I noted now, I had about 15 that applied, and only 8 are on that list.
Okay.
So there are others there.
Yep.
So you make the point, you have enough applications pending.
Yeah.
That if they were all approved, it would use almost all the
Yeah.
funds available.
That's how quickly it goes away.
Right.
And to your point was that
Good point, yes.
the money's there, but tomorrow.
Right, it could be great.
Got it. Dana, are you hearing this okay?
Yes.
Good,
Much better. Thank you.
excellent. Do you have any questions or comments?
No, it's
All
very
right,
clear.
okay, good. One other question I had, Magda, I know mostly this program is the CDBG money, but when the town got all the ARPA funding, didn't the council also put some ARPA money into a housing rehab?
Yes, and that we are keeping that separate from those programs because of a lot of the restricting requirements that the CBG program has. The town's program that we are drafting the program structure for now is going to support those applications that just do not meet the requirements for the CBG.
So the 350,000 is all CDBG
Yeah,
money? That doesn't
CDBG,
include
yeah.
any of the
Doesn't
town
include-
ARPA? Okay. You know how much money the council set aside from
I believe it
ARPA?
was 150.
150?
Yeah, 150. And for that program, I'll tell you now just kind of the things that I'm looking at, and more towards the emergency situation you're referring to is if you do not need, because the CDBG requires there be a full assessment of the property.
Of course.
And, a work list needs to be generated, but if the emergency does not require the $35,000 review, if it's just that one thing, to make it work.
Right.
With this other program, can we then now, use those funds instead of the whole CPG
Okay.
or the environmental review and all those things that need to happen? If it's something that does not endanger anyone, but would help the household
Mhm.
also move forward, can we use those funds then for that? Will it be furnace, just the furnace? You know what I mean?
Right.
You don't want every
Insulated,
yeah. So then that, even for the consultant we work with, then that reduces the amount of work that goes into.
Right,
you
of
know,
course, sure.
completing that project,
So not for today, but just something for everybody to think about. One of my questions is, how do we advertise these two programs? How do we let people out there who might be in need know that these programs exist?
Mhm.
Clearly putting it on the patch,
Yeah.
you got 20 calls
Mhm.
from in one day.
You could put it on next door.
You put it on next door. Until I saw it on the patch, I'd never seen anything sort of announcing the program, Magda, and that's just information for you that, and for the committee to think about.
Right.
What else could the town do? We don't have to have that conversation today, but let's think about it. Because I do think that communicating part could probably be done better, more effectively. Okay, anything?
And those that don't qualify for the CGCC. Well, anyhow, but those are people that don't qualify for that particular grant. You then do you look at them, will you look at them for the town money?
Yes, and now in the town, and one of the parameters we are using with the ARPA fund is at 100% AMI, not 80%. So at least,
Okay,
moving that marker up a
Mhm.
little bit. And it's mostly in part to help the families that really need the help,
Yes.
but just make too much to
Yeah.
qualify for,
Just
you know what I mean?
over, yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's one of the things.
What's our stand for?
ARPA? Oh, ARPA were the federal funds, all the money that was infused because of COVID, American Relief Plan,
Okay.
ARPA. The town got almost 10 million in federal funds. The council made a lot of decisions. Okay, anything else on housing rehab?
Again, encouraging people to apply.
Oh,
I think
sure,
My
sure,
one
sure.
thing that I wanted to note for this meeting is people can apply. It's a lot of work for me, but it's fine. It's to help. The only way I can help from my position is if I know,
Yeah.
who and where. But if we are all just saying, oh, we need help with our own,
and
I
that's the
can't.
whole town. County
And
and
Queen City
Yeah.
and
Okay.
district and.
Have you put notices up in the libraries and town hall? and
Yeah,
everything?
we have actually, even Facebook, we've asked town manager, we have emailed the city council representatives, distribute as much as they
What
can.
about the local papers, like you said, with the press?
We've done the day, I'm not sure if, I'll check with Lauren, if, she distributed to everyone. I don't know how the patch got it, but somehow they got it to it.
I remember that.
I get emails and it tells me everything going on, it'll tell you if the highway shut down. I read the patch all the time because it gives you all the local
It's
information.
a,
I never heard it.
it's a-
I never heard of it.
You never heard of it?
No.
Like a
It's a
news
news,
platform.
it's an online newspaper.
Right.
It's a little, like Facebook kind of thing.
Like
Is
just
it-
blurb come out?
Is it known as PAP or the PAP?
That's the,
.com.
and I think it's ours, it's Groton, right?
There's probably a Groton one, there's probably a Mystic one. Yep, maybe you have to
I
sign
could
up for
show
it.
you.
Yeah,
That's okay. I believe you.
No, no, I
I'd
think
do
it's
that.
ours, would know who the, or maybe I could get you on the list or something. Oh,
It does. He lives right next door to me, so.
Oh, show you everything.
He tells me everything.
That's all, I don't know everything, because he doesn't. do it.
No, I'll look it up. Like I said, I had never heard of it.
Okay. Let's move to Neighborhood Assistance Act.
Again, this program is designed for nonprofits in the community. They can apply for funds up to 150,000 in credit for businesses that pay taxes in the state of Connecticut. Each community can apply. However, the nonprofits cannot apply independently. They have to come to the town. And, I don't know if you guys have seen or heard of the public hearings that have gone through and the newspaper articles that have gone with the towns showing support of these organizations. The reason why this program was designed that way is because they have to be identified by the communities that they
Sure.
serve, that they do actually serve. So that's good. Kind of check
Yeah.
for that. The good news is, I don't think it's been publicized yet, but all the organizations that applied for this program through the town were approved to participate in the program. Community of Hope applied for 112,000 for energy efficiency and roof repair. Malta applied for 13,000. I'm sorry, I don't have the notes of what they applied for, but I'm trying to remember as I speak. 13,000 for programming support. Sacred Heart School applied for 126,000. St. Mark's Church applied for 150,000. Thames Valley Council of Community of Action applied for 150,000, and they were all approved. The challenge, and I think I'm trying my best to kind of reiterate this point, is that the businesses need to purchase these credits. These organizations are not given money from the state or anywhere.
Or the
Businesses-
town, they're not.
No,
giving
yeah,
money from
no,
the
yeah,
town.
no one is. And so businesses need to purchase these credits.
So that would be like, what was the first one that you spoke with?
Community of Hope.
Community of Hope.
Yes.
So if they needed, say, 150,000 and they went to electric vote.
Yes.
And electric vote said, yes, we will provide the 150,000, then electric vote will get a tax.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
just,
Exactly. It's
Okay.
Tax credit
Yeah,
to the
right,
business
right,
where they
right.
don't have to pay the tax.
gotcha, yes, yes,
The money
okay.
comes to their.
Yep, okay.
And I've tried, and I'm still working with nonprofits in the community, especially the ones that were approved, ensuring they communicate to the business. That's
Right.
that's been the disconnect
Okay,
to date. Is I don't want to see businesses don't want to participate. I think lack of knowledge is more
Yeah, I
the
think that's
driver
it, right.
between,
It could be any business.
Yeah, and that's the question I think we brought up at our last meeting. And I made sure to make a note of the types of businesses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the types of taxes, right? Tax that is to be applied to is insurance companies, healthcare centers, corporate businesses, air carriers, railroad companies, certified competitive video services companies, community antenna television companies, satellite companies, and utility companies can apply for those tax credits.
So it is limited, it's not just.
Yeah, not
it's not-
every-
But I mean, they can apply, but it can be any other type of business that can say, yes, I will give you that money for a tax allotment.
When you say any type of business, what do you mean?
Well, and I know that they don't exist anymore, but we'll just say like, somebody said, we need 150,000 for whatever they needed. Now, Blockbuster, they go to Blockbuster and because, Blockbuster says, yeah, we'll give you that money for a tax,
Mhm. Credit.
reduction or
Yeah.
credit, right? So that's what I mean by it could be any business, as long as that business says, yes, we will give you that money. Okay, that's what I mean.
The only thing I would add to that, Mike, that business has to apply to the state
Yeah.
for a tax, to participate in the tax
Oh,
credit program.
right, no, understood.
And I'm just saying, I don't know if the state has certain
Right,
criteria
right.
for what businesses can do that.
Right,
Maybe.
but again, I'm just saying that any business could come out and do it, but they would still need approval.
Right.
Yes, okay,
And that
Can I tell you
period,
just the types,
yeah,
You
types
did
of
list a
credits,
whole
yeah.
bunch.
so like big Y credits.
That's what I was thinking, it didn't sound like we.
Oh, no,
The
that's what I was
corporation,
asking.
corporation,
Yeah.
corporation. And again, I did not say that, from the town's perspective, we cannot influence or encourage businesses
Right.
to participate. It's not a mandatory program.
Right.
And so, but we can work with the nonprofits and kind of help them
Yeah.
develop
Right.
their pitch or whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
say, approach businesses in this manner and
And you do have a list of businesses who have participated before.
Yes, we do have a
And you
list.
can give nonprofits that. You can say Groton Utilities has participated.
Yes, yeah, that,
Hartford Insurance has participated.
and
Give them the list of who.
yes, and actually I've gone as far as not only for the town, but the whole state. I've gone to, because they publish a report at the end of that program year, that says these businesses contributed this amount to this organization.
Sure.
And I've gone through that report for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
And identified, I think another thing that, because I'm doing research on the back end, with other communities that do the same program, is that people will tend to forget that it doesn't have to be a local business. They have to be paying a tax in the state
In the state.
of Connecticut.
Okay.
So if you have a friend or someone that knows someone that, works at a level for organization that is in New Haven or something,
Right.
as long as they're paying a tax in the state, they also.
So the council approved these businesses to receive those funds, assuming if there's a nonprofit willing to provide the funding.
Well,
Or-
these are nonprofits.
Maybe I said that wrong.
Yeah.
The council approved these nonprofits.
Yeah.
For these amounts, but that's still contingent on finding businesses that would provide the funding.
So the town approved supporting these businesses as community organizations.
Okay,
The state approved, so the town gives a check, yes, these are organizations in our community that,
Right.
support our community. And then the state says, okay, you've done that review. Now the state reviews the individual organization's application as to why you're applying for these funds.
Okay.
You cannot just say, I need 150,000 because I need 150,000. You have to say why.
Right.
And if they meet that criteria, the state then says, okay, we'll approve you either for the full amount or half or 10% of that.
Right.
So the state has we've gone as far as through the state's process now, and the state has approved all our organizations for everything they apply for, which is a good thing.
Now, these people have already got backing from businesses?
That's the next phase.
That's the next phase.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the window for that, and the state requires businesses to complete the paperwork within
Okay.
a certain period of time.
Yeah.
It started September 15th, it ends October 2nd.
Okay.
That's a short time.
That is, and I also try to remind nonprofits that you don't have to wait till September 15th to communicate to the business.
No, of course.
You can at any point in time say, hey, if you can help me, here's the date to submit the form.
Right.
And if you guys agree before that date, it's fine, as long as
Sure.
the business.
But you can't submit until that certain date.
Yeah,
Right.
that period. Yeah.
when do the businesses have?
Between September 15th and October 2nd.
It's really sweet.
That's right.
Gee.
All right,
And then
But again, like you said, if they've already been in discussion with, the nonprofits with the businesses, and hopefully the businesses have done this before with somebody else, so they know the process, and, they go, yep, so come September 15th, let's submit our paperwork.
And also in my research, I found that in some other towns, say you apply for 20,000 and you approve for 20,000, it doesn't have to come from one business.
Oh,
The
okay.
minimum a business can contribute is $250.
Okay,
So if 20 businesses all contribute, the minimum, you can get to whatever that number.
oh,
is
okay,
from.
okay,
So as long as they obviously are paying the tax
Right,
that's
right.
in the
And
program.
they fit the state's
Yeah.
definition and everything else, okay.
And you can, apparently, I think you can backdate. I'm not really sure how far back, but I want to say at least 2 years of taxes.
Oh, okay.
When you as a
Yeah,
business are
right,
filing
right, right, of
taxes,
course,
yeah,
of
you
course.
can backdate it so that it's applied to tax
Yeah.
from the.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah, let the little accountant figure it out.
Yeah, that's right. Definitely a more problem.
so is there any further questions, comments, considerations on any of these things that we've talked about? Anybody has? We good? Okay, then And the one other thing I realized we need to do, David agreed to be secretary on paper. But to make that happen, we actually need a motion and a vote. Don't get nervous, David. Mark and I are gonna work on the wood. We understand.
How quickly things change from a name only.
He knows that. It's not just, I'll go every Tuesday night, is it?
Can I have a motion, can I have a motion for David to be secretary?
I'll make a motion for David.
And
Do
second.
you want to?
I second it.
I don't think I can second.
Are you saying, Russell?
Well, I will, Marie, then.
Marie?
Oh, by Rick, yeah.
Okay, great.
I just wanted to double check with David, to make sure it was okay before I.
We'll do the minutes and send them for David, to David for him to look at, and go, oh, yeah, those are fine. Okay,
And I say, well, they did this too, and you can have it,
Well, okay.
you know, all those
we
in
are not
favor?
picky.
I,
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, passed unanimously. Thank you, David. Great, and who knows the date of our next meeting? Anybody here? December sixth. December sixth.
It's the day before my birthday.
Oh,
Remember last time you were here, yeah.
great,
yeah, mine's December 4th.
Oh, yeah.
I might be older than you,
How old are you?
2 days older than you.
Okay, Dana, any comments? You are welcome, you are welcome. We will,
I wouldn't.
yeah, thank you. Yep, Magda, that's his job. Okay. Okay, sorry not to see your face up on the screen while we're talking, but, and you've got the date of the next meeting, December sixth. Great, and thank you, everybody, the meeting is adjourned, and have a good rest of your day.
Is there any, Leila? Magna or Leila?